Hi, friends. Host Eric here. Host Talking with Those People. Earlier, Rachel and I were watching My Neighbor Totoro, which is a Japanese children's movie that Delilah was fond of when she was a little girl. And the best way to describe that movie is powerful and boring. It's really slow and boring, but it's also very powerful in the sense that it really evokes some powerful thoughts about childhood, I guess you'd say. And it does such a good job of portraying this relationship of two little girls with their dad and their mom's in the hospital, and May, the little girl, discovers these spirits of the forest and blah 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 blah. So I mean, it's a nice movie. I understand why Delilah liked it a lot as a little girl. It's about little girls and magic and stuff, but despite being a really well done movie and quite powerful, it's extremely boring. It's like, oh my god, this is slow. Hi, Andrew Clark. Dudes. Hi, Zaylen Black. Zaylen Black's not a dude, Andrew Clark. She's a chick. How was my afternoon? I mostly have been napping since last that you spoke with me. I watched a little bit of Totoro. I went to bed. I've been napping. I feel like I'm almost rested. You can tell when I'm rested when I don't have this line. I have some line. You're a chick also, Winston's mom, right? Andrew Clark, Winston's mom, Zaylen Black are not still dudes. They're chicks. I was napping. Yeah. I was napping my ass off. Yes, Winston's mom, nobody would dispute. You're extremely ladylike. No, just feelers. Just FI users, Broccoli Todd. You own your word and it chooses its own identity. No, I own your perceptions and you must perceive everybody the gender that I say they are. Okay? You've got it wrong. What's Rachel up to? She was watching movies and then I came out here and she noted that her sister had called her and she went to go call back her sister. Rachel's had a lot of alone time the last couple weeks because I've been so caught up in those books, you know. Rachel and I used to have periodic conflicts about every month. Your youngest had to be revived with a defibrillator today? Doctors have no idea what triggered it? That's really dramatic and shocking. I hope she's okay. I mean, no chance she was like shooting speedballs, is there? I mean, I will say right now, Rachel's doing extremely well and has been for well over a month now, coming up on like 2 months now. We haven't fought at all. There hasn't been any difficulties. She's happy. I'm happy. I've been a little bit more, I guess, psychologically than she has. And Did a CT and nothing else. I told her she needs to learn to make a fuss. No stimulants, I asked. Well, it wouldn't be the stimulants that causes your heart to stop. It's usually a combination of stimulants and downers. That's what does that usually. But if she has heart problems, then she has heart problems. Then that's not anything drug related. Anyway, you have you're in my prayers, as they say. Does that help? Probably not that much, but there you go. Where did I put that bong? There it is. Yuck. So Rachel's sister got laid off, got a nice severance package, but regardless, got laid off. That's the first time we're going to be hearing that coming up, as the horribly misguided COVID policies of the world persist. Am I missing some chats here? Let me put this on top, on live chat. Pop out chat. Live chat. Pop in chat. I'm popping it back in. So, yes, a computer is a closed system. It is. Because, well, yeah, it's closed, I think. Vietnam had a very strict quarantine and just reported its first 2 deaths. Well, I don't dispute that very strict quarantines might prevent deaths. I'm saying it's I mean, it depends what you mean by open system. An open system is one that can react to grammatical elements of a system. So it's like a human's an open system in that if I learn about a psychology test and know about it, then it's going to impact me differently than if I don't know about it. Say the Milgram test or something like that. That's an open system because anytime you take action upon the system, it changes the system. That's not the case with computers. You could say sort of that it is, but the grammar doesn't change. Their remote systems are mostly closed, but like math is technically an open system, and grammar is technically an open system. Because even though they can be taught as though they were closed systems, they evolve, quote unquote. Things that evolve are open systems. So any given computer is a closed system, but computers as a notion, I guess you would say, will comprise an open system. No, look. I think you're not balancing your frames and fields carefully enough here. The internet is an open system, I guess. No, see, that's the great thing, AIG last, is that's the quality we want to avoid that makes things difficult in psychology, right? There are certain aspects of it that are just skills tests. it's true, the open system nature of human beings makes even skills tests more difficult to be determinate, because somebody could potentially study for one of those or something. But what we've determined in testing a lot of people is that it doesn't matter how much you are aware ahead of time of the TI test what it's going to be like. It doesn't change how you perform on it. I'd say the same thing is true of Inkity Pinkity. I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. It sounds depressing. I mean, the whole field of system dynamics, quote unquote, is the same thing essentially as a set dynamics, or a set in a relation with dynamism. Why does this bowl clog every time? Every bong rip, this bowl clogs. I never successfully pull it through. Why is this? What is wrong with this bowl? You know what I'm saying? It can pull through already. Let me try this one. Dynamism with a Y and an O. Or I guess maybe an I. Dynamic. No, with an A. Dynamism. AI would also be an open system then. Yes, AI would be an open system if you have actual AI. Any kind of agency or sapience involves open system. So like an ecosystem is an open system, as is evidenced in the fact that you can have invasive species move in and substantially change the nature of the system. Around here, this ecosystem of my neighborhood is changed dramatically since when I was a little kid. There used to be a lot more bugs and bats. And now there's rabbits everywhere. We didn't used to have any rabbits around here. I don't really see very many bugs anymore. Like there's not very many June bugs. That was a good bong rip. Well, see, that's the thing. Okay, if you're talking about AI, actual AI, my notions on it are this: that we already know how to create an artificial intelligence, to create an intelligence, and it's reproduction. That's how we do it. So when I hump a lady and make her pregnant with a fetus, then I have created artificially created intelligence. The problem is this: there's no reason to think that any intelligence can be made when all examples of agency that we have within our purview are grown. And I would say that AI has to be that's the nature of intelligence. The reason humans have intelligence is because they're applying observational force in various ways with the system in which they're a part of. So I would say that if we were going to try to create an artificial intelligence that was self-aware, that we'd have to start with something at least pseudo-organic that's in a primitive state of development and allow it to grow into a self-aware being in the same fashion that humans are. Humans are not self-aware at first. Self-awareness is something that comes later on when you develop a sense of identity. How do you develop a sense of identity? By engaging with the environment, I guess. But I mean, I think that's important to remember, that humans aren't born self-aware. They have no metaphysical notion of self. They only have a physical notion of self. And the idea of something being intelligent is that it's not just reflexive. It has a metaphysical notion of self as well as a physical existential presence of self. Right? See what I'm saying? Is the singularity possible with artificial general intelligence ever realized? Well, I think it's plausible and believe that it's already happening. You've got systems that learn to get better at things. So the things that they learn and get better at are generally closed-ish systems. An exception to that sort of is poker. AI is even better than people at poker, even though you would think, hey, Hambone, thanks. Nice to see you. So there's no application of intelligence that we can't simulate a system that does that better. People have tried to make games that people can play better than computers can play, and that computers can't beat people at. And they haven't really found any to which that applies. I would say that the best chance of a game where a computer can't ultimately win is debate. But I'm talking about competition flow debate. I'm not talking about casual debate. But I could be wrong about that too. It's really just a matter of, you can certainly break it down. If you can break it down enough for a computer to engage in it, you can break it down enough for a computer to win it. No, yeah, I guess a computer could. Well, my thinking about it is that the reason a computer would have trouble winning a debate against me, for example, is whatever argument a computer makes, my nature is to create from that the least expected but correct counter argument. They have to make some argument. That's why, basically. And I'll always treat them unfairly. That's why. Whereas it doesn't work quite the other. I can't imagine a computer doing that successfully. It's like language has this mushiness to it that allows that chess doesn't have to it. I'm not sure what cognitive function goes well with chess. I would suspect that it's an NITE thing, because NI is sort of spatial intuition and TE is spatial solvency. So it would make sense. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, chess got beat by computers a long time ago, and IBM or somebody like that is making a computer that to do debate right now. But it should be making it to do competition flow debate, not performance debate. So and that's in fact my big plan called Milk Lab is to create a debate simulation computer, like basically a debate case tester, where you can run your debate case as though it were a strategy card game, like Magic the Gathering or something, kind of. The reason why debate would prove challenging for a computer is the existence of critiques. So you don't have to go on case. You can always go off case. There's on case and off case arguments. If I argue that we should remove our troops from some place for some reason, then I don't have to respond on point. I mean, I don't have to respond on frame. That's a contention level argument. I can frame up and say the notion of centralized control over troops at all is fundamentally a bad thing, and that presumption under this AF is such that we should negate the AF inherently, regardless of how it performs on the contention level. And there are rules as to when there's something called severance, and I mean, probably a computer, I would guess that based on my understanding of the mechanics of this whole thing, as articulated in Milk Lab, that a computer would eventually be able to beat anybody at it. But I'm not absolutely sure because of the nature of the beast. It's as open system a form of sport as there is. In other words, part of the game of debate is winning the argument about what the rules are as you're debating. It's the only kind of game I can think of that does that. That you define that's the thing. You define the parameters of the debate round as part of the debate round. Okay? Plus, there's an intuitive appeal to the good. What qualifies as the good can be always debated, but both sides inherently are arguing that their side is the good. You never win by arguing that, well, mine comes out with worse outcomes and it's a bad idea, so you should vote for me, right? So that's what makes it. That's what makes me a little unsure if a computer really could defeat me, because I can make arguments about ground. Here, ground arguments are things that say arguments that include meow 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 don't count, and if I can substantiate those claims, then I define the ground. Now, if I can, the other thing is because topics change every month. That's the other thing. Topics change every month, and they have. Well, yeah, the computer can just agree, but obviously, I would choose to define the ground. Obviously, I would choose to define the ground in such a way that by winning that point, it makes it very difficult for the AF or the neg, the side the other guy's on, to win. Like, for example, imagine a computer tackling a topic for that only exists for 2 months. Okay, and the topic is this. The probable cause standard should be extended to K through 12 students in the United States. Can a computer really beat me on this topic? It has no more time to prepare than I do. Give it a month to prepare, and it's going to come in with its preparation, and like every other entity competing in this event, it's learning what kind of arguments are possible to be made, because there's infinite amount of data out there. You can Google Scholar any topic and get more pieces of data than you can possibly ever consider using in a debate round. This is why I think debate may actually be unbeatable. People might be unbeatable. Well, what's your point? I mean, that it's not a closed system. It's an open system. And I don't think that a computer can beat me at a truly open system. But see, you don't seem to understand, Raphael. A debate, Raphael, you don't know anything about debate. Remember that, okay? Try to remember that, please. Let me show you a debate card. A Milk Lab debate card. Debate requires a lot more creativity than most competitions. No. See, okay. This isn't a card, though. Milk Lab cards. See, look. This is this is part of the mechanics of it. I don't think this has a card in it, actually, unfortunately. But this is part of the mechanics of it. Now, granted, this thing that I'm producing, which is a turn-based breakdown of debate that doesn't involve the speaking part, that is something that could probably a computer could probably be better at people at eventually, because it's not real competition flow debate. It's a turn-based card version of it. It just uses cards. If you look at that, Raphael, you get a sense of some of the mechanics of it a little bit. What I'm saying is, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure if a computer could ever beat the best people at competition flow debate or not. And the reason I'm not sure is because it always changes. You know, what works argumentationally changes with the topics, and the topics change frequently. And you have to sort of, it's an art. Yes, it has a calculable mechanical metric to judge who wins or loses. You can determine who wins or loses every given argument, and it has this sort of cascading style sheets element to it, that when the top level frames are won, then it defines whether things below it are won or lost accordingly. It has that element to it, but yeah, the parameters change according to what kind of ground arguments you're making. Some debates, you never even get into the contention level. It's all framework. Some debates, it's all contention level. You never even get into the framework. How much effort and attention a given person depends on framework. Well, you only have if you don't establish any impacts under the framework. But that's the problem, Raphael. Is no right parameters. No matter what, as I explained to my debate students, there's always a counter argument. There is no single best argument. There is no single winning argument. There's always a counter argument. There's always a way out of it. And that makes it unlike other sports. There are no right parameters. You can win in multiple different ways. And what could be a winning case? This is the thing. This is what happens all the time, okay? No, it's not the case that you have a premise that doesn't change. You have a statement that either is affirmed or negated, okay? So what happens a lot of times is there's scouting in debate. So I'll scout out the case you've been winning on with this case for the last 3 rounds. I scout it out and I prep out against it, and then all of a sudden you run the same case and it doesn't win anymore because I've got stuff you've not anticipated, right? So it's like it's not possible anymore for a computer to anticipate and prepare out all the argument chains of all the possible arguments on all the frame levels any more than it is for a human being to do so. It requires instincts, intuition. No, well, that's the thing, Raphael. That's what I mean by you don't understand how debate works. A debate argument has a claim, a warrant, and an impact. There are 3 parts to it, okay? So the claim is basically the impact stated in a way that links it to the resolution. When you state the impact in a way that links it to a resolution, you're making a claim. The warrant is the justification. Now, that justification will either end up standing or not standing. But once established, it's there. And it's up to the other party to respond to it, or else it'll be standing. Okay? So there's a mechanics to it. That's what I mean by you don't understand debate. It certainly is conceivable that eventually we could get a computer that would win competition flow debate. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's the least likely game that people play that a computer could win. That if we're ever going to find one that the computer never can beat us, it's going to be that. I'm quite confident that there's no computer that can beat me right now. So, an example for such an argument. Well, let me pull up trying to get a Milk Lab card instead of a Milk Lab. Milk Lab card. There they are. Download this. How do I download this? Download. Actually, I'll download this folder. Download, 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 and download. So I have all of those. Now I'll go over here, go to Mia, go to Mia, and then I'm going to go to Mia, and Mia, and Mia, and select a file from your device. And then I'm going to go to the downloads, where I'm going to go Mia. Open. 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 B. All right. This is a good one to share. Okay. Here you go. Look at this card here. This debate card is what if I were to make this game that I'm talking about, the cards would work like this. Like that, you know. If I were to do the whole milk lab operation, all the cards would look like this, and they'd include all these different argumentational elements, right? Like impacts type, impact unit, warrant, subvector, vector, domain, terrain. Those are aspects of argumentation that you can be sort of broken down into mechanics. So if you were going to make debate into a turn-based card game, strategy card game, instead of what it is, which is kind of like that, then meow. Okay. The point is, there's a lot more to it than you think, Raphael. People who don't understand debate think they can understand debate and talk meaningfully about it, but if you've not studied rhetoric and competition flow debate and understand the mechanics of argumentation properly, then you really don't have the lexicographical tools to talk about it. Well, got some errands to run. Got to go to the weed store, and I want to go to the Smart and Final, get some sodas and some more frozen foods and stuff. I guess I don't have to go to the Smart and Final today, but I do need to go to the weed store. Cloud says, powerful and boring. Bold of you to call yourself powerful. I wasn't actually talking about myself, Cloud. I was talking about My Neighbor Totoro, a movie I was watching that was boring but powerful. So I will see you all later. I gotta go do stuffs. I'll be back later probably. I'm anxiously anticipating my next bottle of speed. Would you be able to comment on how a friendship between an ISTP and an INFP might be like? Ooh. Friendship? Are you sure that exists between those two types? I don't think it would go well. I mean, the INFP would constantly be having their feelings hurt by the ISTP, and the ISTP would constantly be trying to get the INFP to stop NEing. Well, maybe you mistyped one of you. If you consider that, Lauren McGinley, you and your friend should both pay me $100 to type you. All right, I got to split. Bye, everybody.